yeah, I grew up with a lot. I just had so much anxiety, man. Everything, man. I don't talk about anxiety that much. And I think because some of my anxiety has gone away from once I got in the AA program, or I started finding recovery for myself or seeking out forms to make myself feel better. But dude, I had anxiousness as a child. I had anxiety. And I think part of the reason I had so much anxiety as a child was because I was breastfed on A cups. My mother had them baby A's, When it came time for, on them Titas, my mom had them A coops, them baby A cups. And for a baby, when you're trying to breastfeed, when you're a baby and you're breastfeeding, I don't know if there's anything more anxious looking than a baby trying to breastfeed off an A cup. Because you're trying to get all that leche, you're trying to hit that, just straight up catch that DNA, that DNA, you're trying to catch that, just jowl up with that milky offset. And you can't get enough of it. You can't get it. You're trying to rattle that milk out of a little A cup. Come on. And that's just as a baby, you just trying to rattle that A cup. But I don't care how much you rattle, there ain't enough, there ain't much sauce in that dish. If your mom got them small breasts, and look, I love my mother, and I'm not discrediting her. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with my mother at all. I respect my mother's body. It was a beautiful body. My mother's always taken care of her body, and I've always thought that my mother was a beautiful woman. But damn, boy, when you're a child and you're trying to rattle some milk out of an A cup, that's like trying to beat a couple sips of, a punch out of an empty Capri Sun sack. Come on. Can you do it? And that rattle, what I'm saying is that rattle, as a baby, that rattle never leaves your body. That shaking, rattling, just, beating your hands against a small A-cup breast, trying to get a sip of, that body guava. That never leaves you. And so I no joke, I have a theory that a lot of my anxiety and a lot of anxiety out there comes from children who were raised and breastfed off them small A-cup breasts. Because you never forget that. Just that constant, but nothing, very little in there. Maybe you catch a drop, when your mom leans over to look at something. Maybe you catch a quarter gram in the back of your throat. But very little in them A cups. Very, very little. And that rattle, that desperation never really leaves you the uncomfort. Because as a baby, you're really putting yourself out there when you think about it. When you're sucking on a breast or a teddy, some people call them teddies, especially like if you're in Scotland. They're like, oh, look at the teddies on the, if you are, if you're gumming up on a breast or a teat or a teddy, then you're putting yourself out there, as a baby. As a baby, you're putting yourself out there, man. Because, other babies might be around. They might be relaxing. Maybe the dog is in the room. Maybe your dad's in the room or a sibling. And you're going to just try. It's not like you're waiting by a microwave. You're sucking on that heater when you're breastfeeding as a baby. You know what I'm saying? You just putting your face and just taking all the chances. That's exposing yourself. That's putting yourself out there. Just sucking to stay alive. And the fact that nothing might come out, and that's embarrassing. Then people got to look around and see your cheeks ain't filling up. And I think I went through a lot of that. And my brother had also gotten to my mother's breast before me. He was older than me. And he was born before me. And he breastfed before me. And I even remember one time when I vaguely remember this, and some of this memory is more in my bones than it is in my brain. But I vaguely remember there being my brother elbowing me off that breast, and just giving me that sharp, just that arm edge, that elbow, just giving me that fucking right, that natural right angle of the arm. That elbow, and just, nudging me off that tatat, nudging me right off mama's tatat, and taking that, maybe catching a couple, whatever last grams of milk was in there, and leaving me off that leche. And it's just tough. And so I think a lot of my anxiety started then. A lot of my anxiety started then. And some people, you may, and it makes sense. It just makes such sense, the struggle. Because here's the other thing. The other babies was these fatty babies. And they over there with their long eyelashes because they got a lot of milk in them. And the milk is making, parts of their body grow. And they got strong bones and they got fucking, they might have an ankle. Weighs, each one of their ankles now weighs a couple ounces probably. Because they're boning up. Their body's marrowing up. Because they converting that milk. And they looking all fat and unconscious. One baby had passed out and a lot of milk had drooled out of his mouth and pooled up around his eye. He had that naughty white eye patch, that fat baby fucking eye patch when that milk, they're sleeping at such an angle where the milk rolls out of their mouth and just pools up in their eye, around their eye, on top of their closed eyelid. And they got that fucking leche eye patch, And you're like, damn, that fat fucker. He have so much milk over by him. He doing tricks with it. He's doing stunts. This motherfucker over here, David Blaine, under his fucking milk. Sleeping under half an ounce. And I'm out here just fighting for every damn drippity drap. I'm just saying that is the struggle. When your mother got a small breast and you trying to get that natural body sauce out of it, you trying to get that, that nurture, that you trying to get fed, and that anxiety never leaves you. Oh, sorry, I went off on that, but that shit bends me up a little bit. Because I think about anxiety. I think about how anxiety gets baked into you as a child. Here's another thing. I think if you was a lot of children, you get anxiety because you were conceived in a doggy style position. And a lot of people think that's crazy. And sorry, I'm having a little bit, I got me a sack of cherries. And they're good. I think these are from Washington State. Or actually Montana. Dude, everybody say different people have cherries and stuff. Go to Montana and get you a sack of them fucking hitters, boy. Mother Nature's G-spots right here, boy. These Bing cherries, come on. My daddy used to eat these at night and let me hold the pits in my hand. If I was well behaved. But anyhow, what was I talking about? Oh, I think babies that were conceived in the doggy style position come out with severe anxiety. Because that's pressure. Imagine, of course, if you're conceived in doggy style, you feel like you got to put on a show for the world. And that's baked into you. Whereas if you just that casual, just loitering, just missionary baby, and you come out all just loitering into the world, just that misionario, then yeah, you're gonna have a casual lifestyle. But if you that naughty daughter that pops out of a doggy style conception, come on, you're gonna be a tricky bitch out in the world because you're gonna be nervous. Because you already feel like you have to put on a show before you've even opened your eyes or your soul to the world. So it's crazy how many things can happen, how many things can be baked into us that we don't even realize, How many things can be that are just beyond us. And I guess some of this stuff, I've had a wild week, man. Thank you guys for checking out this clip. And if you want to see another clip, then you can look at this clip or this clip, either one of these. So did you pick one or are you still just watching me do this? Because this is alarming.